The Majora's Mask debug menu is now accessible on console. At the time of this recording, the only known method of opening it requires playing Song of Soaring over 2,000 times, so it's not currently useful outside of low percent categories. With that said, since it can be accessed without cheats, there are a number of new items and tricks available to us. The purpose of this video is to show off all the items that we can currently only obtain from the debug menu, along with some potentially useful tricks and side effects. Though there will be some new information in here, this is mostly intended to collect what is known about these debug-only items into a convenient reference. So, scrolling through the debug menu, we're going to start at Swords and Shields. Now, Swords starts at 1, which is the default Kokiri sword. We can take it down to 0 so that we don't have a sword, and we can increase it to Razor Sword, Gilded Sword, but it actually goes up to 4. Now you might think there are normally only 3 swords that Link can get on his B button, and that you can have in your inventory, and that's true. Okay, same with Shield. It starts at 1. We can take it down to 0, or we can increase it to 2, which would be the Mirror Shield, but it goes up to 3. So let's see what happens when we quit out of the debug menu. Okay, you'll see the Fierce Deity Sword on B. Now, when using the Fierce Deity Sword, it actually just behaves as the Great Fairy Sword. So effectively, I have the Great Fairy Sword on my B button. However, in my inventory, you'll see that I do actually have the Fierce Deity Sword. It is distinct from the other swords in the game, and the text is Broken Giant's Knife, which is clearly just a leftover from development. Shield, likewise, is now the OOT Mirror Shield, the updated version with the Gerudo symbol from MM. And you can see it doesn't look like my shield has changed, but if I go through a loading zone, in fact my shield has changed. It looks like I don't have a shield. I do, it's just invisible, and Link looks a little goofy when he's using it. One peculiarity of how the debug menu functions is that when it assigns a sword to a B button, it does not assign it to human's B button, it assigns it to the current form's B button. So that means right now I'm Deku, and if I increment my sword to anything other than Kokiri sword and cancel out of the menu, I have a sword on Deku's B button, and of course my inventory also has the appropriate sword. So you might wonder, what happens if Takuri tries to steal the Fierce Deity sword? Normally, if you have a quiver, Takuri is able to steal your sword, which will remove it from your B button and from your inventory. However, this is not one of the usual 3 swords that you can have, so let's see what happens. Okay, so you might have seen that Takuri actually took the Great Fairy Sword, even though I didn't have the Great Fairy Sword. I still have Fierce Deity Sword on B, and it's still in my inventory. But now if I go to the Curiosity Shop, the Great Fairy Sword will be available for me to purchase back, even though I never had it. The other notable thing we can do with swords is get them upgraded at the Mountain Smithy. However, if we take our Fierce Deity Sword there and talk to the shopkeepers, they tell us that this shop only deals with swords, which is the same message that they give if you talk to them as a transformation. So the game does not recognize this as a sword that you could potentially upgrade. Some functional oddities of having the Fierce Deity Sword on B include you are able to hold down B to charge a spin attack. Normally with the Great Fairy Sword on a C button, you have to use a combination of C and B in order to do that. Also, if anything tries to modify your B button action, it won't work. So if you put on the Bremen mask, no march. If you put on the Camaro mask, no dance. If you put on the Blast mask, no explode. So Fierce Deity Sword does not play well with those 3 masks. The OOT Mirror Shield does act as a functional shield, in that it will block attacks, it will let you crouch stab, all of those things. It acts as the MM and OOT Mirror Shields normally do, in that it will not reflect projectiles like these. The OOT Mirror Shield unfortunately does not behave like a Mirror Shield in the sense that it will not reflect light. If you want an actual functioning Mirror Shield, you'll have to go to the Mirror Shield chest, and this will replace the OOT Mirror Shield with the normal MM1. The OOT Mirror Shield, like the MM Mirror Shield, is unable to be stolen by like-likes. One notable feature of the debug menu is the presence of extra songs. Normally in your inventory there are only 10 slots for songs, but there are 13 songs in the debug menu. This one trailing at the end here is for the Lullaby intro, which is obtained in normal gameplay, but gets replaced by Goron Lullaby in your inventory. However, the other 2 slots are for songs that are not normally in the game. This slot here is for the Sun song, which if you add it to your inventory, appears in the same slot that Song of Storms normally occupies, although if you hover over it, no notes appear. However, if you play it on the ocarina, it works and has the same effect that it has in OOT. The in-game time is dramatically sped up until the next day or night transition. One nice thing about Sun Song is that it has an effect in places where normally you can't use Song of Double Time. So for instance, if I'm in the mayor's office, I play Song of Double Time, it has no effect. But if I play Sun Song, it will work. Now, if you're in an area where in-game time does not pass and you play Sun Song, you can still play it, but it will have no effect. The other extra song available to us is Saria's Song. When this is added to the inventory, it goes over the spot where Oath of Order is, and again, no notes actually show up. But since we know what song it is, we can play it, and the visual effects from OOT will show up, and it will cause the Final Hours music to play, and that's all. When using the menu to give ourselves bottled items, we actually have access to a number of leftover items from development that aren't normally used in the game. For instance, I've added a few of them to my inventory here. We have the Blue Fire, the Hylian Loach, and Obaba's Drink. Now, Blue Fire, when we use it, just acts like bugs. Obaba's Drink, you can drink it, it's actually a Poe. And Hylian Loach, well, it doesn't do anything here or anywhere. In fact, you might have heard of Hylian Loach in MM before. It is accessible as an item as the Weird Bee from Zora and Goron on the English version, but this is the first time it has been equipable as a C button item. There are also some leftover unused trade items. So for instance, we can have the Eyeball Frog from OOT, and there's a bunch of items that have the icon of Moon's Tear, but appear to act as the Pendant of Memories. The Eyeball Frog as well acts as the Pendant of Memories, although these items do not actually work for that trade quest. Here's another neat thing that we can do. Because we can control our rupee count, we're able to add rupees to our inventory bypassing the limit from our current wallet. So for instance, right now I only have the default wallet. I can set my rupees to be 500, which won't display properly because I only have 2 digits worth. But despite that, when I go to buy the All Knight's Mask, I do indeed have 500 rupees, so I can purchase this without the giant wallet. So finally, I'll show a neat application of the debug menu to speed up one of the side quests. I've used the menu to fill up my inventory here, and we're going to see how quickly we can complete Anju's half of the Couple's Mask side quest. Now, this is normally completed by handing her the Pendant of Memories, which I have put into my inventory. In order to do so, we start by setting the midnight meeting. This is how you would normally start the side quest. And now you would have to wait until at least midnight to talk to her. However, we can play Sun Song to quickly make it midnight. If we use Song of Double Time, we'd go to the next day and we would be late. Alright, so now Anju's here. But if I talk to her for the meeting, she will give me Letter to Cafe, which will overwrite the pendant that I've already put in my inventory, and we don't want that to happen. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to grab a fish over here and just slightly relocate this fish. Alright, now I'll talk to Anju. I will agree to help her, and because of collection delay, she can't give me the letter. So now I'll play Sun Song. And very quickly it will become day 2. So now I never actually received the letter from Anju, but I did attend the midnight meeting. So what this means is I can go right over here and give her the pendant. Right, and Anju's half of the side quest is complete. In order to get Couple's Mask now, all I would have to do would be go do Sakon's hideout in Akana.